The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you are urged to like and share them on Facebook. It's time for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with Sue Ellen Sanders.
Thank you for joining us. Yes, you are urged to like and share the show on Facebook. And you can find it on demand anytime on YouTube, on WPSL's YouTube channel, where Cliff has everything neatly stored in date order. So if there's a particular show that you would like to share, like last week's show or this week's show or future shows, then you can go to that place and find it. Or if you just want to play it in the background, or maybe you even want to just play it while you're trying to go to sleep at night. Kind of lulls you to sleep. I could sing a little lullaby if you'd like. Oh, no. I know my guest today.
I'm not singing.
Who is Port St. Lucie City Councilwoman Stephanie Morgan, also the owner of All About You, and they do promotional items. And she's also, let's see, what else can we say about you? An ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
So you see her smiling face at all the ribbon cuttings, and you wonder when she finds time to sleep. But she is here with us today, and she told me before the show started that if I needed anybody to sing a lullaby, that she would be more than happy to volunteer. No. Did I misunderstand?
Yes, you did. And if my husband was listening, if this was live, he would be calling in saying no.
Don't let her sing. Don't let her
do it.
Well, I'll tell you a little story about my husband singing, because we've been married 30 years this August, and I love him dearly. He is the most wonderful man in the world, but he cannot sing. And on our wedding night, as we were dancing around the dance floor, he was trying to be romantic and sing in my ear. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm with this guy now for better or for worse. Do I tell him the truth that he can't sing? And I just whispered in his ear, please stop singing.
Oh my. Well, and with my husband, if I'm singing along, and he'll always say, who sings this? And I'll name the band or whoever, and he goes, let them sing it.
Yes. Well, I got a Valentine's Day present for my son. I bought for him that he hasn't gotten yet, but he doesn't listen to my radio show, so I can go ahead and tell you. And yes, I know it's past Valentine's Day, but we don't see him every week. We just see him from time to time, and he hasn't come to get it yet. But it's one of those carpool karaoke things. Have you seen those yet?
Don't they? Isn't that on TV or something where they sing along with someone?
It is, on
but he sings
TV. And
your husband doesn't.
Yeah, Jake
it's
sings.
Okay
so
for Jake.
I got him the carpool karaoke, and I'm really hoping he shares it with me, because they say you get presents that you would like to have and you gift them to others.
So he can regift it.
And this is what I want. Well, I just want him to share it, long car trips and so forth. Anyhow, that's not really why I have Stephanie Morgan on the radio with me today.
Not to sing.
Yeah, not to sing and not to discuss carpool karaoke, but to discuss another organization that the two of us have in common, and that is Port St. Lucie Rotary Club, and a special event that they have coming up.
Well,
around the corner.
Make sure it's Port St. Lucie's Sunset Rotary Club.
Yeah. Sunset Rotary Club, which means that it meets in the evening, which means that it meets actually twice a month at PGA Golf Club. And the meetings start social around 5:30, and you're meeting ends at around 7 o'clock, or as we refer to in my circles, snake o'clock.
And he was still there waiting for you, wanting to know where you went.
So here's the background. I promise we're going to get to Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary and their special event. But at the last Port St. Lucie Rotary meeting, as I was leaving, and I was not looking down at where I was walking, but I was still on the concrete porch walking out from PGA Golf Club when I hear some guy yell, "Hey, lady, watch out for the snake." And I missed stepping on this pretty large-sized snake.
He was pretty big.
By
he or she?
Don't they have both sexes in the snake?
I would never get close enough
I don't
to
know.
even
You know what?
check it
We
out,
need to
so-
ask somebody who knows a little bit more about science. The snakes lay eggs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think, well, we'll get into that later. Anyhow, it was a snake. And if that guy hadn't yelled, "Hey, lady, watch out for the snake," only quicker than that, I would have stepped right on it because it slithered right next to my heel. And I screamed. Stephanie was still inside the dining room area that's reserved for Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary members because you were continuing with the board meeting. And you did not hear me scream, but I promise you that a number of the other people in that Taplow pub probably did hear me scream. And you said the snake was still there when you came out like 20 minutes
It
later.
was about 20 minutes later, and we were walking out, and someone was taking a picture of it.
Isn't that special?
Yes, yes. And I didn't want to get that close to it. We couldn't figure out what it was.
I
but
wonder if it's their pet snake, if the snake is like there all the time. But I've never seen it before. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never seen a snake there before. I don't know if that particular snake. Anyhow, the Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary Club is just one of a number of Rotary clubs on the Treasure Coast. And of course, there's the Fort Pierce Luncheon Rotary Club that meets at the Pelican Yacht Club every Thursday. And then there's the Port St. Lucie Noon Club that meets at down on Port St. Lucie
19th
Boulevard,
hole.
19th hole, and it's a noon meeting, and they meet on Tuesdays. So there's a number of different options you have. There used to be a Fort Pierce Sunrise Rotary Club too, but I think that one is not around anymore.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it for a while. So Rotary is, of course, a civic organization that gives back to the community. It's one of the largest nonprofit civic organizations in the world, right?
Yes, and were you there for that discussion?
I was there for part of the discussion. I wasn't listening to all of it.
So
but
we were wondering if we were the largest fraternal organization or largest nonprofit organization worldwide. And I
either way, we're
believe-
big and we're international.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
International. And it's been around for
I don't know.
Do you remember?
Maybe
115
1909.
years.
Oh, so I'm really close.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
1905.
Okay, and I, in another lifetime, I belonged to the Fort Pierce
Where you
Lunch
were.
Rotary Club, where I was president. Yes, and I was the first woman president in another place in another time. 2004, the year of the multiple hurricanes.
Francis and Jean,
Yes.
along with a few others.
The twin hurricanes, yes.
Yes.
Because the meeting is at the Pelican Yacht Club, and the Pelican Yacht Club was hit pretty hard, and so I needed to call our members and send them messages, and this was before you could just group text everybody and let them know, and we were kind of a wandering club for a few months there because we didn't have a location to meet at. And you know what? Some of the guys blamed it on me. Well, of course, I was
Well-
the first woman president, you know.
Yes, and then the two hurricanes being a woman's name,
Yeah, they were
Francis
both
and Jean,
Francis and Jean. So
because
I
there
think
was
it was
one in between,
who,
or there were a few.
there were a few. Well, there were.
Yeah, because
That was only 3 weeks. They weren't in between them. They were 3 weeks apart.
they go alphabetical order,
Oh,
though.
okay. But
So
none
there
of them hit
were
us.
other named storms
Okay.
because you had G, H, and I between Francis and Jean.
Okay,
And I
yeah.
can't remember.
Well, none of
But-
those two hit our little special place on the Treasure Coast, and that's why I remember those dates. At any rate, I don't recall what I was mentioning that for, other than the fact that I've been around Rotary for 25 years.
Wow.
And Stephanie, too, has been a part of Rotary for a long time. Look, I led it back to Rotary.
Not as long as you. I
Well,
was
you're
a
not as
member.
old as me.
Yeah, well, I was a member of the Fort Pierce lunch bunch.
It was right
The
after.
Rotary.
Yes.
And yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it was after you. And then I got involved with another organization, the Port St. Lucie Business Women.
And they are also a terrific
So that meets
civic
on the Thursdays.
organization.
So I didn't go back to Rotary, but then I found this other Rotary that meets for lunch. Not lunch, but
Dinner.
meets after.
Sun-
so at 5:30.
Snake Set.
Yeah, Snake Set. The Snake Set Rotary Club.
Anyhow, let's talk a little bit about the purpose of Rotary, and other than for networking, and some of the Rotary clubs. There's Rotary clubs all throughout the state, all throughout the nation, all throughout the world, and all of them follow the same 4 rules, which are: is it
Service above self.
Yes.
You're going to really test me. It's the 4-way test.
The 4-way test, which
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And
Now,
it's
let's
service
stop
about
right
self.
there. Let's
Okay.
talk about that. Wouldn't this be an awesome world if everybody followed those rules?
Yes, it would. And there's
So-
many of times that I always make sure that I repeat these. I haven't memorized them all,
Yeah.
but I got it in front of me.
I bet it's useful in your life as a city
But
commissioner, right?
Is it the truth?
Yes.
Is
it fair to all concerned?
It does. I think everybody should take this oath.
Yep.
Period.
Will it build
Everybody.
goodwill and better friendship? So, if you're somebody who likes to say negative things about other people or other things or other situations, then you're not building goodwill and better friendships. So, whether you're in Rotary or whether you're not following those basic rules. So, of course, Rotary, as you said, started in 1905.
So I want to
Okay.
interject here
Okay.
because you're talking a lot, but
Okay, I won't say another word.
no, that's fine. But it's interesting that you mentioned about Rotary, and it's Rotary International. So today, because my email is on the website, because of the event that we're going to talk about today,
Which is
I
called
received the Beast and Bourbon 2020.
Beast and Bourbon
Beast and
2020. So
Bourbon.
that just gives you an idea of what's coming up. That's our little
right.
teaser
So
there.
Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I received an email today from a Rotarian that lives in England and will be here visiting her son, and searched Rotary with the zip code that her son lives in, and it's our club.
How cool
And she
is
wants to
that?
come visit
That is
with our
so
club.
nice. That is lovely.
So I was lovely. Is it literally
It's-
lovely?
It's literally lovely, yes.
That's brilliant.
Stephanie's husband has a British accent, so we make fun of him quite frequently, just because he can probably
Because you
sing.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He literally
it would probably be you and him singing, and Marty and I would probably be banned
Yeah,
from
probably.
karaoke.
But But moving on to Rotary, I'm glad you brought that up about the whole visiting Rotarian thing, because that is something that if you belong to Rotary and you're on vacation in South Carolina or in China, or maybe that was a bad example.
Don't use China. England.
England, and you usually see one of those signs in the little villages with a Rotary emblem, and it says Rotary meets here on Thursdays at 12:15. And the reason you see those is because visiting Rotarians are encouraged to visit other Rotary clubs. And so no matter what Rotary club is your home club, you're encouraged when you're out and about traveling to visit other clubs, which is really cool, because then they have this little embroidered flag that they give you that you get to take home, that it's a really little mini flag, and you bring one of your little mini flags if you know that you're traveling. So and then you bring that back to your home club.
I did not know
So,
that.
yeah, so
so
these
I'm
little
wondering,
mini
do
flags.
we have one?
I don't know.
Because we're going to be having a guest from England.
I don't know. That would be to ask the president.
I will have to do that.
And at any rate, so Rotary, their main mission years ago when they first started, and for very many years, was to eradicate polio. And then came along polio vaccine, which is widely used. And so now that mission is kind of hopefully, wonderfully, pretty much taken care of, although there's still some third world countries where, they've kind of regressed as far as getting the vaccine, and in some places polio is coming back. But that's, they moved forward with that mission very successfully. And now there are a lot of international and national and local missions that Rotary Club has undertaken, and that particularly the Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary Club has also been a part of. What are some of the types of ideas, organizations that Rotary has helped?
Well, one of the first things that I remember when I first joined the Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary, and even being a part of the Fort Pierce Rotary Club, was reading and giving books.
And the third grade, giving
Yes.
the third graders the dictionaries, the dictionary
the
project.
dictionaries, and also doing a reading project where we would go in and read to the students.
Not to confuse the two together, because the Rotarians that are visiting don't read the dictionary, but they do give a dictionary to a number of the different third grade classes. And in years past, when I've visited different classes to give the dictionaries, some of those kids hadn't had books before, because in some of our schools, they had books in schools, obviously, and they had their media centers or libraries, but they didn't have books that they took home. So that's very exciting. And certainly literacy is one of the major things that we move forward for education of our children, because and of our adults too, because the one thing that makes a difference in whether a child succeeds in school or not is their level of literacy. If you can't read a book by the time or if you don't read fluently by the time you're in third grade is when you stop learning to read and you start reading to learn. So you got your science books, your social studies books, even your math books. You've got to be able to read those in order to move forward in all those subjects.
And it's also important, the reading is also goes along with comprehension, which I know a lot of people can read, but then don't understand what they just read. So catching them early like that, and by the third grade or in the third grade, is that's the way to go.
So it's an awesome project for Rotary to continue with. And I know that there are international projects that even our little Port St. Lucie Rotary Club has been involved with.
Yes, we were a big help right after the Hurricane Matthew. Was it Matthew?
We'll
You know
just
what?
lump them all together. One of
All
those
the
hurricanes.
names get so confusing. The one that really hit the Bahamas, and they needed a water purification system. So there was a more or less a call to action for different organizations and counties and to purchase this purification system that I think did, I don't know, something like 500 gallons an hour of fresh water, clean water, purified water. So the Rotary Club was able to send one to the Bahamas.
So it was actually able to take things like lake water and ocean water and purify it, make it into drinking water. Is that how it worked? Or you don't know?
I have no clue, but that sounded really good. And I would imagine since it was a water purification system, that's what it did, was purified it so it could be
So
for
purified,
drinking
yes.
water.
Yeah,
it was
'cause that's
used
the
to
important thing.
purify it and get it to drinking water. So, yes.
So all the water that surrounded them, and especially in the Bahamas, there's a lot of water around there. They were able to turn it into drinking water, and it's not magic.
No,
just
it's not.
Takes a system, and that system works.
And another one was we just donated to another fund in Haiti. We have also planted a lot of trees, the Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary. So that's another big one, and that is here locally.
So some of your projects are local, like the trees and the reading and the literacy.
Scholarships.
And scholarships. And there's a
Yes.
scholarship that's given each year to, is it an IRSC?
Yes, IRSC student. We did 2 last year. And that's why, we try to keep it local. And that's why it's so important about the Beeston Bourbon, is that the proceeds are going to go to a local veterans organization.
So the Beeston Bourbon that Stephanie is referring to takes place Friday, October. It's not October.
October?
What? March 13th, which, by the way, is a Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And it will take place. It's called Beeston Bourbon because it's roast beast, kind of like beef beast, like food beast.
Yes.
And bourbon, like, bourbon.
Yeah, I'm not a big bourbon drinker, but from what I understand, this one's a pretty good one. Woodford Reserve. And there's different levels. So you're going to start out with an appetizer, which will be some meat.
Yes, beast. Yeah.
And then you're going to have it paired with a bourbon. And the gentleman's going to be there to explain
The pairing and the
pairing
taste
and why it was chosen and how it was made. And then you go on to where we have appetizer, salad, entree, dessert.
Dessert?
Oh,
Is there a
there's another
dessert?
one. There's 5. There's,
Okay, so there's
5
different
different tastings that you're going to have. Yes, even the dessert is paired with the bourbon.
That's interesting. So are the bourbons, are they flavored or they just have like, okay,
I
again,
have no clue.
I know some wine. I know a lot about craft beer, but bourbon is just not something I know. So
Yeah,
so
I should
with
have brought me a
bourbon-
bourbon drinker with me to
To
talk
explain
on
the
yeah,
bourbon.
to explain it. But you know what? This is even the more reason for you to purchase a ticket and come to the event or sponsor it, and then you too, like I am going to do, learn about bourbons.
So if you yourself don't drink bourbon, there'll be some wine that you could purchase, and then you
Absolutely.
could give your bourbon to your date.
You could.
Or
Or
to
the
your
table
date's
next
friend.
to you.
Yes, yeah. So the
They would become your good friends.
Beast and Bourbon dinner Friday, March 13th. And we'll learn more about that event and how you can sign up to sponsor and how you can purchase tickets in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then you'll be back with the Sue Ellen Sanders Show starring Stephanie Morgan.
Oh, gosh.
Now back to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, we're talking to Stephanie Morgan. She's a Port St. Lucie City Councilwoman, and as well, she is also the owner of All About You, a promotional company, and she's also president-elect of the Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary Club, which meets twice a month on Thursdays at
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays at PGA. Watch for the snakes.
Yes, out there, there's preserves all around.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
It's gorgeous.
You know,
out
Jeanette's
there.
going to yell at us later. She's going to
Yeah.
say, you spent more time talking
about the snake
snakes
instead of
than
the beast
steak."
and bourbon.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get to the beast and bourbon.
So there will be no snakes on the menu
No.
at the St. Lucia River Club, which is where the Beast and Bourbon dinner is going to be held on Friday, March 13th. Now, a caveat here, that there are other events that are going on Friday, March 13th. But this is the only Beast and Bourbon dinner that is going on
That is
in
correct.
St. Lucie County. So if something that you want to do is to eat and drink bourbon, or you have a bourbon lover in your house, this is the place to be.
It will be the place to be. And I always want to say in Santa Lucia
yeah.
River Club, Ballantrae. We're at Ballantrae.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to get used to their new name, and I know they're branding it. But Santa
It's
Lucia
been their new
River
name for
Club
like 3
at
years,
Ballantrae.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, new is
Yeah.
relative. But it's a lovely venue. They do a great job, whatever type of event that you're doing. But this in particular, you're working with bourbon dealerships. Are they called dealerships? Like car dealerships?
No.
Bourbon.
They're
called bourbon suppliers.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, bourbon suppliers. And you're also going to have, because what goes better with bourbon, other than maybe Beast, but cigars. So there's going to be cigars
Absolutely.
there too, and you're going to have
We are.
cigar rollers.
So when you first get there, of course, we have a little bit of time to meet and greet and get checked in. And there is a cocktail of the evening that is available. There will be a cash bar.
And that's the cocktail hour, and there would be a particular bourbon that's tied to the cocktail hour, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there will. There's bourbon all night.
Yeah. But I mean, remember we were talking about 5 different
Yes,
bourbons?
there's
That's
5
step
different
one.
tastings.
That's
step.
spot.
that
That's the
is.
step 1.
So the cocktail hour will have a bourbon and or wine, beer, mixed drink, or sunset
Okay.
sling. So they don't have to drink the bourbon.
you-
But we will have that. And
Then
I'm
you'll have
gonna
a
let you-
salad course.
Yes.
And that also is matched with the bourbon. Or whatever
Absolutely.
else you're drinking. And then we were trying to figure out how you got to 5. And because we mentioned the cocktail hour, the salad, the entree, and the dessert. But the fact of the matter is there's 2 different entrees. You're not
Yes.
choosing between. You're getting them both.
You get to have them both.
And one of them, at least tentatively, is the grilled filet mignon. And the other is a veal chop. Now, they reserve the right to between now and, the menu might be massaged just a little bit, but just so you see the level of
Right.
food involvement that you will have. And with each of those main courses, you will have a another bourbon tasting, not just tasting, but an explanation of the
Exactly.
bourbon and why it pairs so well with that food.
That is correct.
And then, of course, you have the dessert course, which right now is scheduled to be turtle cheesecake, and that will also be paired with a bourbon.
And the bourbons are from the Woodford Reserve.
Okay.
And again, I'm not a bourbon drinker. I guess there's different ones, like there's a rye and
We're looking at
the
Cliff,
Reserve,
and he's shaking his
and
head.
he's
He
shaking
doesn't
his
know.
head like
yeah.
I have no clue. So I didn't do my homework really well on bourbons. But
you have a variety of delicious reserve bourbons. Just by the name reserve, we
Yes.
know that means good, because when things are reserved, they're the best, right?
we reserved it for them.
For this.
You
All
will
right.
leave full and happy.
And all the money that is raised from the dinner, which, by the way, what's the cost of the dinner?
It's $100 per person, which includes all of that. There is also a gift. We are also going to be having a silent auction. So when you get there, check in, cocktail hour. There's also the outdoor patio, if you've ever been to Santa Lucia River Club, that you can go out and enjoy your cigar.
Snakes?
No snakes.
Okay.
I'll make sure they're cleared. You said you weren't going to mention that again.
I'm
And
sorry.
Jeanette, it's her fault. So you have that, or just enjoy the cocktail hour. We'll start the dinner, and then you can relax afterwards. There will be a cigar supplier there, cigar rollers. Also, with the bourbons, you have an opportunity to purchase one of the bottles of bourbons and have it engraved
Ooh,
on
an
site
engraved
for an
bottle of
additional
bourbon.
purchase. And
Okay.
it's very reasonable. Don't ask me what it is.
I have to say that, as a craft beer drinker, I've never been to a brewery where they engraved my bottle of beer. So this is really
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Just to put it in
The
perspective.
event last year, it went over really big. The engraver's right there on site. You tell them what you want, you write it down, and they engrave it, and you have this souvenir bottle of bourbon to take home with you.
And you can save the bottle when the bourbon's gone because
You
it's got your
can.
engraved. The thing about bourbon, and I know this to be true, is it's not something you zip through in one night like a bottle of wine, or in 1 hour like a bottle of beer.
No, I don't think so.
It's something, your bottle of bourbon is going to last you a year. Or depends on whose house you're at, I guess. And how many
Yeah.
parties you have.
Yeah, I would. And,
Yeah.
I also want to,
Shout out.
can we do a shout out
Yeah,
to our
let's
premier
mention-
sponsor?
Yes, let's mention
because there
it.
are sponsorships
Yes.
available, and we have different levels. Top shelf sponsor. We only had one available, and ACOC Dignity Memorial is our main sponsor,
Is
and we thank them very much.
top
They
shelf.
they are
Yeah.
our top shelf sponsor. So they have been a big supporter of Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary with Nathan as our president, who is awesome, and
Also
none
George
other
Saliga, yeah.
than George Saliga, Mr. Aycock himself.
Yes. So
Even though he's not really Mr. Aycock, and I happen to know Mr. Aycock, Wade Aycock, back in the day. But yes,
So
They are
they're the-
our main
Yeah, they're the
sponsor.
main sponsor. But there are other sponsors that have stepped up, so the proceeds, all of the proceeds, can go toward the veterans organization.
yes, which has not been determined at this moment. The membership has not voted on it. The recipient last year was Southeast Honor Flight.
Ooh.
So they received, and so we're looking forward to it. It will
Okay.
be exciting. And I think it's always nice because it goes not only locally, but it goes to a veterans organization.
And it's another way for the Rotary Club to make a difference.
Right.
Who are some of the other sponsors that are community members that we might be familiar with?
Waste Pro,
Okay. Waste Pro.
Yes, and FPNL. Right now, we also have SunTrust Financial Management. David Savage is one of our sponsors. We have others that I'm waiting. I would check my email, but that would be rude to check my email on a radio show.
It would be. It would
So
be
I'm not
rude.
going to do
Yes.
that, but I have others that I have contacted and I'm waiting to hear because they are big bourbon drinkers.
Yeah, they are.
They
Plus-
love their bourbon.
Plus, the other thing is that bourbon is a wonderful gift to give somebody because
It
it's
is.
something special and something different. And so, whether you've engraved the bottle or not, it's still
Right, and be in March. Even for Mother's Day
or Father's
or
Day.
Father's Day, you could get that gift and have it engraved.
I'm thinking that bourbon isn't necessarily a drink that you need to have a holiday to drink, because it's kind of old fashioned in that, you think of somebody bellying up to the bar and saying, "I'll have a bourbon and Coke," and it's very,
Oh yeah.
very old fashioned, very
Isn't an old fashioned made
conservative.
with bourbon?
You're
Oh,
talking
there
to a
again.
craft beer
There
drinker.
again, she drinks her craft beer.
Yes, I could tell you
Okay,
all
so,
about craft beer.
I want to also mention about our mega basket
but, okay,
that we are selling tickets for.
but we're gonna get an opportunity to win by purchasing a ticket.
Yes.
And when you purchase a ticket and get opportunity to win, then you will have a chance to win this mega basket, which has what in
Mega.
it?
Um,
That's okay. You can say liquor.
liquor. It has
Yeah.
bottles of liquor and wine. Every bottle is right around $30 to $35 each.
And
So that's why we call it a mega
so
basket.
about how many bottles are in there?
I'm gonna guess like 15.
Oh, my
I'm not sure.
goodness.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
the shopping
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Oh, and it comes in a cooler,
And it comes in a
so
cooler.
you have something to
that's
carry it out in.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
it is going to be nice. We also, with the silent auction, I wanted to say thank you to Casey Blair at the St. Lucie Mets, part of the New York Mets,
Yes.
which they're in town.
Yes.
Opening day this Saturday. Oops. Do we say what day this is?
Well, it runs on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, opening day is
this
February
weekend.
22nd.
Yes,
How's
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
And she had sent a package for our silent auction. We also have tickets to a couple of the spring training games that will be on the silent auction. And also a shout out to Jill Todd, who has graciously donated a basket. They're doing, the school at Renaissance Charter School is doing a drawing or a show, The Little Mermaid.
Yes. So
Or-
she's got a
yes.
basket for the Little Mermaid.
Yes, she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
So
Their
there's
shows are
lots of other
terrific.
stuff
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things that you'll get an opportunity to win.
to bid on.
And to bid. Yeah, I
Yes.
love silent auctions. I always feel like I've won when I win a silent auction, even though I've actually won with my money, which is, as my husband points out, different than regular winning. But the great thing is all of the silent auction proceeds, all the proceeds from your opportunity to win the mega basket, as well as the ticket price, because of the sponsors, all of that money comes together and it benefits the veterans charity that the board selects, and it's usually somebody local or with local roots in
Right.
the organization.
Yes, definitely with local roots. Absolutely.
Well, that's very exciting. And I know that Rotary always has some fun outings planned, and it's certainly a worthwhile organization if you're looking to join a civic organization and be a part of something that as a whole is bigger than the individuals that are a part of it.
It is. It's I don't know. It's a touching organization. I've been a part of so many different organizations and different groups, and of course, networking is the big thing. And we, meaning Rotary, is not considered a networking group. It's more of a camaraderie, and again, service above self. It is. Is it the 4-way test that we always do? So, and it's always giving back to your community.
And I love the national and international aspect of it because you're part of something that's bigger than just St. Lucie County. And you can be driving through Kansas and see one of those signs that says Rotary meets here on Tuesdays at noon, and you can stop in with your Rotary pin and say, hey, I'm a visiting Rotarian, and you'll get to stand up and say what club you're from, and they recognize you. And as a matter of fact, because of where we're located in St. Lucie County, all of our Rotary clubs on the Treasure Coast have a fair amount of people who are visiting Rotarians that come and stay for 3 or 4 months because they're also snowbirds.
Right.
And our club, too, has
we do have a few that do that.
Visiting snowbird Rotarians. So it is the type of organization where, you can if you have more than one home or more than one place that you go to a lot, you can have more than one Rotary club, too. So anyhow, if people are interested in finding out more about the Beast and Bourbon Dinner, how do they find out more? And even more importantly, how can they purchase tickets?
Well, you can purchase tickets online or contact any of a member of Port St. Lucie Sunset Rotary.
Okay, but how do people know?
PSLSunsetRotary.com. PSLSunsetRotary.com.
And that will lead you to the Beast and Bourbon Dinner. You'll see a place where you can purchase tickets.
You will. And we are also on Facebook.
And look on Facebook, and that way you can see some of the different members and see who you recognize that might be able to bring your tickets right to your door.
I will do free delivery.
But I will tell you, if you call Stephanie, she'll probably walk away with a sponsorship too.
Oh, yeah. If you, that would probably be a given. I'll even throw in a few tickets with depending on what sponsorship level you do. So, of course, it's included, but I would appreciate it.
Let's talk just a little bit about the advantage of sponsoring an event like this or another Rotary event.
Well, we're including the advertising on all of our social media, on our website, throughout the members. It will be advertised at the event also. We're going to have a program this year, so you will be in the program. And along with it, depending on what level, you will get tickets. And I have to put my glasses on. I know you can't see me on the radio, but yes, you can.
You can when you watch it on YouTube later.
You can.
Yeah, look at her glasses, everybody. I just want to point out that she has 2 pair of glasses with her on the desk as well. So
I've got a couple in my purse too, and about 5 in my car.
Glasses for everybody. So,
yes.
Yeah, so Stephanie can see.
Well, it's
so we were talking about the sponsors and the different levels, and there's multiple sponsorship levels, and they range from.
Well, we have a top shelf, which already got sold.
Okay.
Aycock Dignity Memorial. Thank you again. Then we have a double barrel sponsor. This all has to do with bourbon.
I know.
Did you figure that one out?
I figured that out.
Double barrel. And then we have a single barrel sponsor. And then we have what's called a small batch sponsor.
So there are a lot of different options as far as your sponsorships. And again, you can find out that information online at www.pslrotary.com.
No. And I never understood. You don't have to say www.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes,
Nope.
Okay.
All you got to do is type in PSL.
Okay.
PSLSunsetRotary.com.
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 All right. Okay. We'll try that and see if that works.
It
Or
does.
you can look it up on
Well,
Facebook.
Cliff was shaking his head. You do not have to say that. So
Well, you used to.
you
right?
used to back in the olden days where it, yeah, when you would connect and go with that sound. You are connected. You've got mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in
yeah.
the day, you would have to put in www, but no, not
But
anymore.
you're sure showing your age because you're sure not showing mine.
Thank you.
No, that's okay.
Thought we were friends.
She of the 5 different reading glasses. You notice I have none.
And they do. Oh, fine. But I
No,
have
that's
a pair
not
to
true.
match
Anybody who
whatever I'm
knows
wearing
me
too.
knows
so.
that if I'm sitting and looking at a restaurant menu, I'm not doing it without reading glasses on.
Or having somebody hold the menu across from you so you can see
Or
it.
borrowing somebody else's reading glasses. Have you ever been to the new thing with the restaurants is they have like a little jar that they set up by the hostess stand with the reading glasses on it?
And
Have you seen that?
There's probably a couple of mine in there.
Probably.
They recycle them
They do.
so that you
That's a
can
great
use them.
idea.
And there's even restaurants now that have the lighted menus.
And
that
you
make
and
it
I
nice.
have something else in common. I remember back in the day when we first became friends, like what, 10, 15 years ago, we both had reading glasses that had little lights on them. Remember
Yes.
those?
They were the best.
Yeah, you could turn the lights on the reading glasses. So either way, whatever type of way you read, the most important thing is that you look up PSL Sunset Rotary and buy tickets to the Beast and Bourbon dinner, or watch for any of the other fun things that they have coming up, or become a member of Rotary as well. Okay, so I have been so well behaved this entire show, don't you think? She's afraid to answer that. Oh,
yeah.
The snake
The
was not
snake-
badly behaved.
No, it wasn't bad.
And he might have been a member of Rotary.
You can get a fine at Rotary for talking about that.
that's right.
Although the snake probably didn't follow
we might
a
get
four-way
fined
test.
at our next meeting
Yeah, we might.
after they listen.
So just to say that if on March 13th, if you are a family, or if you are an athlete, or you are somebody who is not particularly into having dinner and bourbon, then the Early Learning Coalition's Run for the Donuts might be right up your alley, which also takes place on Friday, March 13th. But, we talked about this before, and it's such a different type of event
is.
that really the people who are going to run 2 miles starting and ending at Kaiser University and get donuts at the turnaround are not the same people who are going to go for a 5-course meal that's accompanied by different
Bourbon and cigar.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see
There's
them
not a
running.
lot of crossover there, except for maybe you and me. I mean, you and I would probably do both if they were on 2 different nights. Right?
Yes,
Yes.
I would.
Yes.
I
you
would.
Thank you. That was the right answer. So we just have a couple more minutes. And, of course, Stephanie, you're City of Port St. Lucie. Tell us about the most exciting thing you think is coming down the pike for the City of Port St. Lucie.
I can't tell you.
It's a secret?
Yes.
Well,
No,
the
I'm
next
kidding.
big thing compared to Crosstown, which
Well,
opened, so
Yeah,
it took how many
Crosstown.
years to open Crosstown,
Yeah.
and look how, can I say friggin' on the radio, Cliff?
You just did.
Okay, how awesomely wonderful Crosstown is. It's everything we could have hoped for and more. And it has reduced traffic on all the other thoroughfares that run parallel to it. Not to mention the fact that it's beautiful and it's a shortcut for very many people. And just a shout out to my friends with Crosstown Runners Club that they're having a Crosstown 5K at the end of March to celebrate it. But now it's time for the city of Port St. Lucie to have another big, wonderful project.
Well, there's a few things that, of course, are going on with the Southern Grove area.
And that's big and exciting too.
It is. I think one of the most exciting things that's happened in the past few months was the opening of TAMCO, City Electric.
Right.
You will notice the building. You can't miss it. It's right next to Kaiser. And especially if you're on I-95 in the evening, the lights that are on the building are, it definitely is a head turner, but don't turn too long because you're on I-95.
And
But
so
the-
Southern Grove is actually that area that's by Tradition Hospital and
From
Kaiser
Becker
University.
up to Tradition Parkway.
And look for growth in that area,
There
continued growth.
is. With the TAMCO, we have Oculus Surgical that is coming in, which is a company that was based out of Germany.
That's so
But there's
exciting.
a lot of things in the
growth. Yeah.
pipeline. We just, there's a lot of stuff that is coming up, and also on the east side, of course, that's over there on the west. On the east side, we have Mid-Florida Credit Union Event Center now.
Right, it's renamed. The naming
It is
ceremony
all
just took
renamed.
place. Well, Stephanie, we're going to have to invite you to come back just to talk about City of Port St. Lucie events, because I bet we've got another 53 minutes we can talk.
Yes, with no problem whatsoever.
Stephanie
and it won't
Morgan.
be about liquor.
Stephanie Morgan's been my guest. She's City of Port St. Lucie councilwoman and also a member of Port St. Lucie's Sunset Rotary. You've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. We'll be back next week with more.
Look for archives of the Sue Ellen Sanders Show on YouTube under WPSLTV.com.